Alpesh Patel is from Profinium Partners, and I know you're following this story carefully, and you aren't particularly fond of these companies and their response so far, despite the fact that you actually own Facebook shares.
Yes, I disclosed that. I'm a Facebook shareholder and of some of the other technology companies. However, I used to work in Washington in Congress, and I've worked with parliamentarians over here. What I'm really annoyed about is the lack of respect that elected officials are showing. Now, I know nobody really respects elected officials generally. When it comes to an issue such as this, you should not have low-ranking people from Facebook and Google and the other outfits, Twitter, just addressing questions. And our parliamentarians shouldn't have to go all the way to Washington to get answers. What they were annoyed about in the Culture Sports Committee, the Select Committee here, is that they basically had PR people stonewalling and not really answering the questions. So we've had to send elected members of parliament over to Washington. And even then, it's not Mark Zuckerberg, it's not the CEOs of Google and Twitter either. It's, again, going to be sort of medium ranking people, because they're obviously too important at these tech firms. I think they've got way too ahead of themselves, these tech firms, and they think they're more important than politicians, elected officials.
Part of the problem here seems to be being able to put a monetary value or monetary cost, let's say, on fake news. Until such time we see what this cost is anyone really going to take it seriously?
Facebook's profits for the last quarter were $5 billion. It's not because they're allowed advertising from fake news outfits. I suspect that was quite small. It would have been from the likes of WPP advertising on Facebook. What they don't want to do is change their algorithms and their rules to stop legitimate advertisers and impact their bottom line. That's what it really comes down to. It actually comes down to economics, not the cost of fake news, but the cost of legitimate advertising. And that's why they're foot dragging. But the problem is they're not answerable to the public at large because they're not elected officials. So they don't, quite frankly, care about fake news. If they did, they would have got on a plane and turned up to the parliament of the 5th largest economy in the world and answered questions as CEOs, not just sitting back and saying, look, you know, our ad spend. This goes beyond money, of course, but not for these tech companies. And that's why I'm still a shareholder, I'm afraid. You might call it hypocrisy, but I know they're going to continue foot dragging and they're going to continue making money for their shareholders, although damaging democracy.
The natural hedge. Alpesh Patel, thank you very much. Stay with us on The Briefing also.